Hello, everyone. I'm with Secretary of the Nation and Commerce once again, Ms. Terra Branson Thomas, providing you with another ARPA update. Just some general stuff. We've compiled a list of questions and some of the concerns over the weekend, and kind of just wanted to sort of do like a rapid fire hit and miss here. So, Terra, I hope you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay, got some answers, and hopefully maybe a little bit of explanation on some of the things we've been asked about or maybe have been communicated on our social media channels. So, one of the big questions is, why didn't we just send out checks? Why is there a card process? What is the reason for not cutting the checks?
Yeah, so checks bring up a host of issues for us here at the government. So we learned a lot from the last hardship and income program that we ran. And one of the things that we ran into the most often was that citizens who are unbanked or underbanked really experienced a lot of challenges getting those checks cashed so that they could actually use the funding that we were providing. And so that's one challenge. We have a question actually on the application about whether or not you have a bank account, and more than 10% of our population reports that they do not.
Okay.
And so that's really challenging, when you have a large check and then trying to get that cash. So that was one of the primary reasons. The secondary reason is that we experienced a lot of fraud, unfortunately, during the income and hardship program. So that's actually one reason that we tried to implement the Camp House portal, so that the portal would provide us an opportunity to upfront check for some of those common issues that we were having in that program, and then alternatively went with kind of the Netspend pay card option, so that we had just a little more time, right, to control some of those challenges that we might be experiencing. Netspend, as a service provider for MetaBank, was required to follow federal laws.
Right.
So they have to follow any kind of anti-money laundering type federal regulation. They're heavily guarded. And so that's one of the reasons that we chose them. And now we're really seeing that those things are working, because we are having some challenges with citizens activating or being approved for a Netspend card. And so while we made those decisions strategically, and anticipated that there would be some challenges, I don't think we were fully prepared for some of the overwhelming challenges that we've had. And I think that's just due to the numbers, right? We've issued over 10,000 cards, and anytime you have a volume like that, you're definitely going to have some challenges. And if we were to write checks, those are 10,000 checks, and we only have so many employees here at the nation. So in addition to just some of the programmatic things that we're concerned about, we also have some capacity structural challenges here at the nation, and they just have a lot of responsibility there. And so just keeping in mind all those things, it seemed like the right decision.
Yeah, and that kind of ties in with why Netspend, a publicly traded company, reputable company. This is what they do. So that's why there is such a stringent policy on identity and making sure that we have the right identity. And we want that too, because we want our folks that are waiting for their funds to get their funds and not to go anywhere else.
And we know for folks who are following the rules and doing the right thing that it presents another obstacle, but for those that maybe have malintent or malicious intent, we're catching those folks. And so we want everyone who has the right to request this money, who has the need to request this money, that they get it, and not someone who's impersonating them. And on the Netspend side, on the security side, we've sent out an email last week from Camp House Portal, all one word, Camp House Portal at MuskogeeNation.com, requesting documentation to act as an intermediary so that Netspend is not contacting you directly. So if you don't want to work with them directly, we'll work on your behalf. Just let us know, respond to that email. It automatically loads into our system, and we have a process that we're moving forward through those security checks.
Fantastic. Let's talk about batching next, because we got a lot of people that say, I haven't got my card yet, and I signed up on the very first day. But so did, several thousands of other people. So we look to sort of batching and what our capacity lends us to be able to do. Can you talk a little bit about that process?
Yeah, so Netspend has some limitations on the number of cards that we can include in every batch. And we were adhering to that. And in adhering to that, we also had to follow a manual process. So it's kind of a twofold answer. We're batching several thousand cards at a time. We did run into the funding glitch that we ran into, I think last week that we talked about that. The days are kind of running together. But last week we talked about that. It was really a result of the size of our batch. scratch. And so we're changing some procedures to make sure that people receive cards with funds on them. We're learning as we go. This is a historic program. We've never done anything like this, and certainly never used this type of vendor, right? And so there are opportunities and there are challenges with that. And so we're learning as we go along. We were making some strategic changes to our procedures to avoid that challenge in the future. The other thing that we experienced is a manual error. So in our first document upload to Netspend, we did have an error where zip codes were not aligned properly with addresses. So we've been working with Netspend over the weekend and today to come up with a process to correct that. We are going to reissue all of the cards that were sent to the wrong zip code. So we think it's about 3,000 cards. We know that there are citizens who've already identified this issue, and thank you for reporting that. That helps us identify patterns. That helps us make corrections to our customer service. So we really appreciate the communication and the opportunity to correct. So we've worked with them. It's an automated process. There will be some lag time before the citizens receive those cards, but that's our first priority this week, and we've already started on it today. And for those citizens that did request cards, we and maybe incurred a fee or learned that there might be a fee after the fact. We know that there were some customer service challenges with Netspend. We're having Netspend identify those accounts for us so that we can correct that issue. It was not the citizen's mistake. We want to take ownership over that cost. And so we're going to make that right and hope to have that done or corrected, identified by the end of the week so that we can make those corrections.
Fantastic. All right. One of the other things, too, is why does Netspend, want so much information maybe from me, my Social Security card? We went over that a little bit as far as just verification and fraud protection and money laundering, I think, is a big concern.
Yeah, it's not because of you individually. You're not inherently bad. We're not inherently bad, but there are bad actors in the world. And so Netspend, as a service provider for lots of products, lots of banks, has regulations that they have to meet. And so it's really a protection, not just for you, but for every other consumer in the marketplace. And so we recognize that that's a challenge. And we know that there are some people who are going to be in situations where perhaps Netspend as a vendor can't provide that service to us. And we're looking for alternative options for those folks. We'll be communicating those options directly with the citizens this week. So there's a lot going on. We're learning a lot in the process. In working with our Netspend vendor, we did learn that the percentage of folks who they haven't been able to work with or aren't going to be able to get a card is really low for the size account that we have. So, that's kudos to Creek citizens who work really hard, to have financial ability and financial safety. But we know that there are folks out there who have, unintentionally provided their information and had some neglect on their Social Security number. And so we're going to provide an alternate payment. We're just trying to figure out what that looks like for us.
Okay. Speaking specifically on fees on cards, most people know if you get you get a bank card or you get a gift card, anything like that, there is going to be those small fees even if you open an account or with a bank. So there are those small fees associated, but I think maybe not what everybody knows is the nation really got proactive and negotiated a deal with Netspend so that those fees wouldn't be as much as they normally are. Could you tell us a little bit about that and just sort of the fee process as well?
Yeah, so because of the size of the program, we really did go to Netspend and ask for some changes to their standard operating procedures, and we were successful doing that. That doesn't mean, that we were able to avoid all of them. So I think the one that most commonly has come up in some of our questions is the inactivity fee. So we did clarify that, and it's a small fee. Anytime you use your card, the inactivity fee timeline resets. So the fee is only associated with those cards who have inactivity for 90 days or more. And so anytime that we put funds on your cards or anytime that you run your card at the gas station or at Walmart, that timeline restarts. And we were also able to confirm that fee is not associated or rendered against an account if there's nothing in the account, right? So you're not required to cancel your account early. You're not required to worry about the fee if there's a zero balance. But that seems to be the fee that most people are talking about. There's also a small fee associated with cash withdrawals. But like we talked about, like if you go and use your card at a merchant, maybe save your regular account, offset the difference, right? Use your card for gas, take your gas savings from your bank account or wherever you normally keep it and set it back. You're just offsetting that cost from one place to the other.
And to leave everyone today with a little bit of good news, there are lots of citizens getting their funds, and those are be able to go into their personal finances, their own little economy, and change things for the better. We're so excited about that. That's what this is all about anyway. So we're really happy to see that. We know there are a lot of people still with questions, still needing assistance. We're getting to that as fast as we can. What is the best way right now, Terra? I know we have the call center still open 7A to 7P Monday through Friday, with special hours from 7A to 12 noon for our elders on Wednesdays still, and that number is 918-549-2885, 918-549-2885. That'll get you the call center. I think it's started, the volume's starting to come back just a bit. Still lots of calls in though too, but also emails and arpadoc@muskogeanation.com. These are, you know, terms and email addresses that people have become very familiar with, but we're glad. We want to be able to make sure how they can get help.
Yeah, there's a lot of folks, you know, since we had the error, we've had a lot of folks calling to check in on their Netspend card. I would just encourage you that if you haven't gotten your card yet, it's very likely that you're in that batch, and I'm truly sorry for that error. We are working to correct it. We will communicate with you to let you know that we've had to reissue your card. That's my goal, to do that as soon as possible, so that you're aware of when that might go back in the mail. And then you can always call the call center. I think that's probably the best way. Unfortunately, the wait time is still pretty long. We do have a couple of email accounts, but you know, we only have so many staff members to be able to check all those. And so while we're trying to rapidly respond, there's just an overwhelming amount of work right now. And our folks down in the garage are working real hard. It's just there's only so many hours in the day, and how quickly we can respond. So we've got some good stuff going on. Definitely learned some pain points the last couple of weeks.
It's a historic program, a historic amount, which means it's large. Another way of saying it's very large and very detailed.
Absolutely.
And we are a large nation, fourth largest in the country. There's a lot of citizens to get to, a lot of citizens to be able to provide for. And as you said, there's staffing situations here that we have to remedy and look to sort of stopgap here and there. And we work with outside agencies and outside vendors, and that all comes with the territory. So doing a great job, Terra. Thank you for the update today. And we'll be back, I'm sure, throughout the rest of the week with some more tips and things to update folks with. So thank you.